Yataha, from whom? Pravritte. Pravritte is the material nature. Bhutana. So, has emanated. From whom the entire material existence is emanated. Yataha pravritte bhutanam. Yena. Yataha means from whom it is emanated. Yena, by whom. Yena sarvam idam tatam. All of this is pervaded. Yena sarvam idam tatam.
Yena sarvam idam tatam.
Swakarmana, by your own work. Tam abhyarcha. Worship that Lord. Swakarmana tam abhyarcha.
Swakarmana tam abhyarcha.
Siddhim, perfection. Vindati, will be attained, will be relished. Manavaha, by the human being. In this way, human being can attain perfection. Siddhim vindati manavaha.
Siddhim vindati manavaha.
Yataha pravrittir bhutanam.
Yataha pravrittir bhutanam.
Yena sarvam idam tatam.
Yena sarvam idam tatam.
Swakarmana tam abhyarcha.
Swakarmana tam abhyarcha.
Siddhim vindati manavaha.
Siddhim vindati manavaha.
Yataha pravritti bhutanam.
Yataha pravrittir bhutanam.
Yena sarvam idam tatam.
Yena sarvam idam tatam.
Swakarmana tam abhyarcha.
Swakarmana tam abhyarcha.
Siddhim vindati manavaha.
Siddhim vindati manavaha.
One last time, let us recite together. Together, all of us. Yataha pravritti
bhutanam. Yena sarvam idam tatam. Swakarmana tam abhyarcha. Siddhim vindati manavaha.
Excellent. So, let's begin. Om Jnanatirandasya Jnananjalishalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimade Bhakti Vedanta Swami Vinamine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Veshatarine Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So I'll be using this as a whiteboard to write certain things and draw certain things. So we are discussing here how Krishna is describing how we can function in the world. Krishna is telling in this verse, let's try to understand what this verse is saying. So if we consider this is to be the material world, if this is the material existence, Krishna is saying, if, now relatively speaking, Krishna is far bigger, but let's put it this as Krishna now. He exists here. So at one level, Krishna is saying that this entire material existence has come from him. Yataha pravrittir bhutana. So it has come from him. And it is not that it has just come from him and now he has nothing to do with it. Like from a manufacturing plant, a clock comes. Now after that the clock is not controlled by the manufacturer or the manufacturing plant. But it's not like that. Krishna is saying, Itaha pravritti bhutana yena sarvam idam tatam. By him, he himself is also manifested in this world. In fact, it is like Krishna is present everywhere in this world. He is present as the super soul. As a Paramatma, he pervades material existence. He is there everywhere throughout. So, this is Krishna in the material world as the super soul. So, with these two ways, Krishna is describing his relationship with the world. That the world has come from him and the world is pervaded by him. And therefore, now we want to worship the Lord, we want to attain the Lord. So he says that how you should attain the Lord is, if you are here right now, then you turn this way. Swakarmana tam abhyarcha. If you turn this way and you work as worship, through your work you worship, and what will happen? He saying it, Siddhim Vindati Manava. By doing this, you will attain perfection. You will attain the Supreme. So this is one of the concluding and fascinating verses from the Gita. After this, Krishna will talk about Jnana Yoga, then again he will come to Bhakti Yoga. But what is he saying over here? That when we think about Bhakti, Bhakti can be broadly practiced in two distinct ways. So this is the spiritual level, where at the topmost spiritual level Krishna exists. And generally it is thought that, okay, we are here at the material level. So we turn away from the material level to attain Krishna. We focus on Krishna. And this is Bhakti. And yes, it definitely is Bhakti when we turn toward Krishna and focus on Krishna. That is one form of Bhakti, immersive Bhakti. We turn away from the world and immerse ourselves in Krishna. But there is another form of practicing Bhakti, which is we turn toward this world and we act in the world. Okay. Are you able to hear me or it's not very clear? It's good?
It's good until you look down and that's fine.
Okay, now I'm always going to look down. So
That's good.
Okay, is it okay now or not that great?
It's good.
Oh, good. Okay, fine. So now this is what we will call as inclusive bhakti. Where Krishna, when we turn toward the world and act in a mood of service to Krishna. Now, this form of bhakti, immersive bhakti, leads to what can be called as paramartha, the supreme purpose of life, paramartha. But Krishna says this inclusive bhakti is also important. It leads to loka sangraha. Paramartha is life's ultimate purpose. And yes, we all need to pursue that. Artha is meaning or value. So paramartha is the ultimate value. So that definitely needs to be pursued. But along with that, loka sangraha is world maintenance. Every single one of us is a part of the world. And it's not that visible. Okay, the camera. Okay, so you want the camera to see both. Maybe when you get this closer.
For audience. Is it better for audience?
Yes, now we can see. Yeah. Because you will be focusing on the camera or on me? Both. Okay, fine. If you want, you can get that closer right next to me. Then it will be easier to, then people will not be able to see. Okay, makes sense. You get good some workout for your arms. Okay. So there is Loka Sangraha, maintenance of the world. And Krishna says both of these need to be done. Now specifically in the context of the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna wants Arjuna to engage in the world. He wants Arjuna to do his responsibilities. But at the same time, Arjuna is not unconcerned about Krishna's concerns. Krishna's concern is that in pursuing a kingdom, in fighting a war, Arjuna fears that he may slip from morality. He may get entangled in the world. And Krishna says that will not happen. If your intent is to act in a mood of service, to act in a mood of worship. So, abhyarcha. So, now what does worship mean? Now, so we are talking about karmanadam abhyarcha. Sometimes this is translated as work is worship. Have any of you heard this saying? Work is worship? Yes, many of you may have heard it. Now, that is not exactly all this is attributed to the Gita. If you consider what the Gita is saying, swakarmana tam abhyarcha. It is not saying work is worship. Rather, the literal translation will be by your work, worship that Lord. Which Lord? That Lord from whom the whole world has come and by whom the whole world is pursued, is pervaded. Or you could put it in short as work as worship. Not that work is worship. Now, work is worship is fine as it is okay as an ethical principle. Ethical principle means that all work should be respected. All workers should be respected. Just because somebody is doing a particular kind of work, somebody does cleaning work, somebody does restroom cleaning or something like that, that person should not be looked up. So respect all work and workers. As far as that point is concerned, this is a good ethical principle. However, often this is claimed not to be an ethical principle, but a philosophical principle. And that is where the problem comes. Ethical means what is right and what is wrong. Philosophy means what is the nature of reality. So, is work intrinsically worship? If that were the case, then what about a robber? A robber, that's my work. So, is robbing worship? Well, no, isn't it? At least the person from whom a person is robbing, they won't think you are worshipping. Isn't it? You are committing a crime. Or if you consider a beggar, that's what almost for some people, begging is their full-time job. Now, is that worship? Krishna is saying we should be contributing to society, loka sangraha. So that itself is not. So to say work itself is worship is taking things too far. What kind of work is worship? Are all people who are doing whatever work, are they worshipping? That it raises some serious questions. And then does it mean that the harder you work, the more worship you are doing? Then by that criteria, if you could say the donkey is the hardest worker, so is the donkey the greatest worshipper? No. So work is itself not worship. But work can be done in a mood of worship. Work as worship. And what makes the work as worship? It is two things. When does this work as worship occur? It requires two components. First and second. First is our conception. What is our understanding of our work? What is the understanding of our reality? And second is intention. Krishna has talked about this earlier also. Mayi arpita mano buddhi mame vaishyasya asamshayah. So in terms of conception, what are we thinking about when we are working? So somebody thinking this is my job and I have to earn a living through it. Well, that is not really, and there is nothing spiritual in that conception. So Krishna is giving that conception. How can our work be worship? Because the arena of work is the world. We work in the world. And Krishna is saying, see that the world is not disconnected from me. The world has come from me, the world is pervaded by me. So conception is the world is also Krishna's arena. That the world is not just a mundane thing. God doesn't just exist only in the temple. God exists at our home, God exists at our office, God exists on the road by which we go from our work to our office. God exists everywhere. Everything is the arena of God. Now, this is a conception. It is not just intellectual, oh yeah, everything is the place of God is. We have to actually internalize it. That's the conception. And then intention is abhyarcha. Abhyarcha means our mood should be respectful service. So generally when we are worshipping, we are doing aarti, we are offering water. It's a form of service, but it's done with respect. So when our mood is this way, then at that time, Krishna says such work can be worship. Now that work is intrinsically worship. Now how do we get this conception and this intention? And that requires immersive bhakti. I talk about two kinds of bhakti, immersive and inclusive. So both of these forms of bhakti go together. So it is immersive bhakti. It is through the immersive bhakti that we get the conception and the intention. If we are not taking time out regularly to understand the Lord's message by coming to satsang, by doing our swadhyaya, coming to good association, by studying sacred texts, if we are not doing our sadhana in terms of the chanting of the holy name or doing some worship of the Lord, then this conception or this intention will not be there. It will be very superficial. And when that happens, then we may claim that I am serving the Lord. But it won't be service to the Lord. It will be service to our own agenda, our own desires, our own ego. So this immersive bhakti will give us a conception and intention. And then, when we do inclusive bhakti, when we serve in the world, with this bigger picture, that will actually give us greater conviction about the reality and the vitality of our connection with the Lord. So this will give us greater conviction and greater energy. Actually speaking, the two will work synergistically. I'll explain how this will happen. But this is the situation where we turn away from the world, absorb ourselves in the Lord, and then we turn toward the world and serve the Lord. And when we are turning toward the world and serving the Lord, then we will find that we will be able to function better in the world. Because we have a higher purpose in the mind. And that higher purpose will actually help us to tolerate life's ups and downs better. Let me explain how this higher purpose works. So suppose there are 3 classrooms in a school. So, and each of these classrooms there is a teacher. And there are students who are being taught in the school. Now, if we go and ask these teachers, what are you doing? And the first teacher says, I'm struggling to teach these dumb kids this dumb subject. Now, the teacher neither likes the subject nor the students. Both are dumb. Now, that is the overall picture, just dumb. The second teacher, you go and ask, what are you doing? The teacher says, I'm earning my living. This is my livelihood. The third teacher, what are you doing? Yes, I am shaping the minds of those who will shape the future of the world. So, shaping the future. Now, among these three, who do you think will be more inspired to do their work? Naturally, isn't it? Because their vision is so much bigger, their vision is so much more inspired. So these three conceptions broadly correspond with what the Gita talks about as three modes of material nature. So which of them will be which mode? Can you say? The first one is? Yes, tamas, ignorance. And then? Rajas, I'm just earning my living. And shaping the future? Is sattva. So what are these three modes? For those of you who may not be so familiar, these three modes, they can be understood in different ways. But you can say the modes are like gears of a car. When a car is in a particular gear, that's how it will drive. So when we are in a particular mode, we function in a particular way. So in the mode of goodness, we see the bigger picture. Our mind functions in a way that we can see the broader reality and our place in the broader reality. In the mode of passion, we see only what I'll get out of this. And in the mode of ignorance, we see only what is the trouble I'm getting out of this. That even what is the positive I'm getting, I don't even see that. So it says that sometimes some people make things happen. So the people in goodness, they plan, okay, I'll do this, you do this is my strength, that is your strength, let's work together. Some people make things happen. Because in passion, they just try to do 100 things. And they don't plan properly, they don't analyze properly. And then they do one thing and 10 things go wrong because they're not planned properly. Some people watch things happen. So some people make things happen, some people watch things happen, and some people wonder what happened. They wonder what happened. So these are again the three modes you can see. Sattva, you make things happen. You plan carefully. So one who is in the mode of goodness, they can actually function in a way that is effective. But in the mode of passion, just try too many things. And somebody may take too many sessions because they want to earn a lot of money, but they can't prepare for the session, they can't give proper attention to students. And then they are dissatisfied, students are dissatisfied, they complain against them, and they just, life becomes a mess. And then wonder what happened. Somebody is blaming the students, ranting against the student, and one day they just fire. What did I do? Why was I fired? They lack the self-awareness completely. Once a couple of friends went to a bar for drinking. And one person was drinking more and more and more and more. And the other friend said, okay, I think it's enough now. No, I couldn't. And both of them were staying in the same dorm. So next morning the friend got drunk a lot. I was holding his head. I knew it was a bad idea. And the first friend said, I told you, drinking so much is a bad idea. He said, no, drinking was a great idea. Waking up was a bad idea. So, in the mode of ignorance, there is no self-awareness at all. So one just tries to find the path of least resistance to in whatever trouble one is facing. This is the mode of ignorance. So now, when we work, what vision we have of our work will determine our inspiration in doing that work. And Krishna gives Arjuna the vision that he has to fight in the battle. So for example, Arjuna is here and then here in the battlefield. In the battlefield, Arjuna has to fight a war. And Arjuna can have various conceptions. I am killing my relatives. What am I doing by fighting this war? I am killing my relatives. What am I doing by fighting this war? I am winning a kingdom. What am I doing by fighting this war? I am doing my dharma. And what am I doing by this war? I am pleasing Krishna. So in all these cases, the activity is the same, but the conception is substantially different. If he thinks, what am I doing? I am killing my relatives. How can I kill my relatives? I should kill my relatives. And what a terrible thing to do. That will completely take away his vision, his energy, his motivation. But when he sees, yeah, I'm very killing. So you don't focus on what we're losing, but what we get. So it's better. It's still better than this. You think that I'm a warrior, I'm a protector. I have to fight. Now, in fight, the Bhagavad Gita talks about fighting a war. But the purpose of fighting is not to kill. It's not violence. The purpose of fighting ultimately is peace. The Pandavas had tried to get peace by every means possible. Then they just couldn't. Then finally they realized there's no alternative to fighting. The last course of action for the purpose of establishing dharma. Sometimes people feel a little disturbed that the Gita is a book which is urging Arjuna to fight. Is it a book, religious book that sanctions or instructs violence? And hardly. The Gita's purpose or focus is not fight the war. The Gita's focus is actually to harmonize with the divine will. That's why at the end of the Gita, Arjuna doesn't say I will fight. Arjuna says, Karishye vachanam tava. I will do your will. Now that Krishna's will happens to be fighting a war. That is only circumstantial. That is not the essential message of the Gita. In fact, why does Krishna tell Arjuna? If Krishna's purpose is only to get Arjuna to fight. Normally, what is the easiest way to get someone to fight? Sorry? Make them angry. Angry toward whom? Sorry? Yes. So, if say there is B, C and A. Now A wants B and C to fight each other. Or A wants B to attack C. So what will A do is, A will incite B. Incite. What is the easiest way to incite? What do you think the easiest way to incite is?
Blasphemy.
Yeah?
Blasphemy.
Blaspheme. Blaspheme. Blaspheme is a very religious word. It's basically villainize, it is demonize. That person is so terrible, they did this to you and they did this to this person, they did this that to you. Tell all the terrible things that other person has done, or not imaginary, real, whatever it is. And then paint such a nasty picture of the other person that you will want to attack. Now in the Gita, actually Krishna wouldn't have had to demonize the Kauravas. Because they were already demons. So, Duryodhana had tried to dishonor and disrobe Draupadi in public in the royal assembly. Normally, if some evil person wants to violate a woman, they will do it privately where they're secretly, where there are no eyewitnesses. And they'll. But suppose somebody comes to the police station and there they try to violate it. Somebody goes to the court of law and they try to violate it. That means that person has no fear of law at all. If such a person were given power, unreposed power, the mind shudders to think what kind of atrocity that person would do in society. But Duryodhana was a person like that. And even after doing that, there was no remorse at all. No remorse at all. But when Krishna went at the peace messenger, what did he do? Do you remember what he said? When Krishna went as the peace messenger to the Kauravas to seek peace.
Give 5 villages to Pandavas.
Krishna said, give 5 villages to Pandavas. And what did Duryodhana say? I'll not give enough land to put the tip of a needle. And as a dialogue, it is powerful. I will not give enough land to put the tip of a needle. So at that time we had social media, this would have become a viral Insta reel. But what does it mean? So Krishna himself going as a peace messenger is itself a very serious thing. Krishna is the most powerful person in the Pandava camp. Let's say right now the war between Ukraine and Russia is going on. Suppose, say, Ukraine wants peace. Then they might send the Secretary of State or maybe some defense minister or someone like that. But if the Prime Minister of Ukraine goes to Russia for peace, or the head of Russia comes to Ukraine for peace, that means whoever is seeking peace is very serious about it. And then at that time to be given such a rejection, to understand the gravity of that rejection, let's consider an example. Suppose we invite someone for a program at our home. Now they don't want to come, so they make an excuse. Now they are making an excuse, we know that they are making an excuse, and they know that we know that they are making an excuse. But at least they are having the courtesy of making an excuse. Suppose instead they say, even if I die, my dead body will never come to your program. That is not just a refusal of the proposal. That is a kick in the face of the inviter. Isn't it? So Duryodhana, that's what he did. What is the 5 villages? Not even the tip of it. Land was the tip of a needle. So such a person, there was no hope of maintaining order in society. Such a person would be impossible. So Arjuna could have said, I was doing my dharma. But the point I was making is that Krishna himself tried every possible means to avoid the war. And then even in the Bhagavad Gita, the easiest way if Krishna had wanted Arjuna to fight would just remind Arjuna, don't you remember what they did to Draupadi? Just visualize that scene. How Draupadi was crying desperately. How helpless you felt because you couldn't help her. Will you not avenge your honor right now? What kind of coward are you? Krishna could have incited Arjuna very easily. But yet it's remarkable in the entire Bhagavad Gita, there is not a single inflammatory statement. There is not a single reference to any of the atrocities done by the Kauravas. Not once. Why? Because Krishna, when he is speaking the Gita's purpose is not to give circumstantial reasons for fighting. That is not at all the purpose of Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita. His purpose is to give universal principles for living and specifically for decision making. That's why when Krishna speaks, Krishna does not speak in terms of the circumstances at all. He speaks more in terms of universal principles. So the point I'm making is, although Arjuna would have had these different motives, Krishna talks about the highest motive, that you act in a mood of service too. So in that way, Krishna helps Arjuna turn toward the war, but see it with a bigger vision. See it with a more inspiring understanding of present. And that is the understanding that Krishna offers each one of us when we understand the Bhagavad Gita. So what the Bhagavad Gita says is that there's one way of looking at it is, like earlier said, that this is the material world, this is the spiritual world, and then we want to go to the spiritual world. So we practice bhakti. So the point is, we just have to get out of the material world. Just leave it and get out. That's one way of looking at it. And yes, that is the path of renunciation, which is also a part of bhakti. But another way of looking at it is, say we are here, and this is our journey through the material world. And it is by going through this journey that we will go to the spiritual world. And how we function in the material world is important. And that is what is inclusive bhakti. So the idea is, I concluded 2 points and we can have some questions, that the way Krishna explains, dharma has many different meanings. But one of its meanings is, in that meaning it is similar to yoga. What it means is harmony, or actions that keep us in harmony. Actions that keep us in harmony with ourselves, actions that keep us in harmony with the broader units that we belong to. So, actions that keep us in harmony. So, for example, we are souls. So, the souls are parts of Krishna. So, as souls, our dharma is to be a part of Krishna and serve Krishna as dharma. But that is not our only dharma, it is a paradharma. That is, if I am here, I belong to many units bigger than myself. And from every unit, we take something. And therefore, we need to give something. So, for example, when we travel on the road, at that time, we are being a part of the road transport system. We are taking the facility of the roads, we are taking the facility of the signals, everything that the road transport system offers, we are taking something. And then what is it that we have to give in return? We have to follow the rules. We have to stop where the signal is red, we have to stay within the speed limit. We need to go on the right side of the road. So, in Canada, like America, the right side is the right side, isn't it? In India, the left side is the right side. Is that right?
Yes.
Or the other way around?
You were right.
Okay. So I wanted to check who was left out. Not paying attention. Okay. So, thank you. Now, the point is that any larger unit, we take something from, have to give something. So, dharma is basically harmony. So, if we are a part of a family, then we take something from the family, we give something back. If we work in a company, we are taking salary from the company, then we need to do a job. Now, we are all parts of many circles like this. We are parts of our family, of our community, of our country, of our profession, there are things we are parts of like that. And the ultimate that we are part of is, everything exists within Krishna. So we are all parts of Krishna. So if we take only one of these and make it as the complete, that I care for my family, I don't care for anything else. Yeah, you care for your family, but your family exists within a country, your family exists in a broader pool also. So if we take only one of these and make them absolute, then that is being incomplete. It is incomplete. But if we see that all these wholes that we are part, all these bigger units that we are parts of, they are contained within Krishna. Then Krishna is not just the biggest of the wholes. Going back to the earlier verse, the earlier discussion of the verse, Yataha Pravritir Bhutana Yena Sarvam Gandhate. From whom everything is emanated, by whom everything is maintained. So all these inner circles. So the biggest circle is who? Krishna. And all smaller circles, at one level, they come from Krishna. But along with that, they are also sustained by Krishna. In our country, it is sustained by Krishna. And Prabhupada in North America once he said, if the Pacific Ocean and the Atlantic Ocean decide to meet each other, what can you do? They are going to meet each other. But if they decide to meet, the whole continent will be inundated with water. So, there are far higher forces existing in the universe, which if one small thing goes wrong, our entire existence can be wiped out. Our very existence depends on things which are far beyond our control. What does somebody say? If I don't work hard, then who's going to put food on my table? Well, yeah, that's true. But it's only a partial truth. Because our work does not produce the food. Our work procures the food. If nature did not provide food, no matter what we would do, we would not be able to procure the food. So our family, at one level it is maintained by us. Other level, our family is also maintained by Krishna. So our endeavors are definitely important. We have so much scientific advancement now, and with all the scientific advancement, we can only process food. We can't really produce food from scratch. All edible ingredients that we have, no matter ultra processed they might be, the starting products have to come from nature. The starting points, the starting materials have to come from nature. So our endeavor, it does not produce. Does it produces food? No. It only procures food. So now procuring is also important. It is also requires effort. But in one sense, this is secondary. The primary thing is producing the food. Every morning, when the birds wake up from their nests, they start chirping and they start searching for grains. And they have to endeavor to find grains. But they don't make those grains. They only find the grains. Now, in that case, they just go and search in various places. Wherever they find grains, they get them. Our human society is a little more organized. So we don't just go and randomly search. We have degrees, we have jobs, and at the end of the month we get money and then use that money to spend throughout the month, whatever. It's much more organized, but the principle is the same. So we couldn't endeavor if God had not made the arrangement. One of the most intimate acts of love in the world is when a mother breastfeeds her baby. So without the mother offering taking care of the baby would not survive in the world. That definitely is an expression of the mother's love for the baby. At the same time, when a baby is born, the mother does not do anything special to manufacture milk in her breasts. That same God who sent a child through her womb into this world also sends milk in her breasts. And that is how the baby is nourished. So definitely, because they consider the family, the baby is taken care of by the mother. But it is not baby is not taken care of only by the mother. So every single unit that we are a part of is important, We have to play our part in it. But to remember that this unit is maintained by Krishna. What to speak of our family, even our body. We say, if I don't get food, I will not survive. Well, yes, true. But even if we get food, if our body doesn't digest the food, then we won't survive. Isn't it? Aham Vaishwanaro Bhutva Praninam Deham Ashrita. Krishna says, I am the digestive fire in the body. I am the mechanism by which food gets digested. He arranges that mechanism for us. Nowadays, there are many bodily parts can be replaced. Somebody has a hand gets cut, you can get a prosthetic limb. Somebody's heart is not working, you get a pacemaker. Somebody's kidneys are working and you have a dialysis unit. But till now, scientists have found it extremely difficult to replace the stomach with an artificial digestive system. It's just incredibly complicated. Now, the only time we think of our digestion is when it doesn't work. So what happens is God gives and forgives. We get and forget. So we get many things and we forget it. So the Gita says that every bigger unit that we are a part of, if we remember that I am playing a part in sustaining it, but Krishna is also playing a part in sustaining it. And then I play my part in a mood of serving Krishna, in a mood of cooperating with Krishna. Krishna tells Arjuna, Dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge. Krishna says, I come to establish Dharma. But then Krishna tells Arjuna, I don't want to establish Dharma, I want you to establish Dharma. Therefore, nimitta matram bhavasau visachi. Krishna has this big mission to establish Dharma. This is Krishna's mission. But within that, Krishna wants Arjuna to play a part. This is 4.8 in the Bhagavad Gita. 11.30 Krishna says, Nimitta matram. You just become an instrument in my plan. So we are all parts of various units. And we connect with the ultimate whole that we belong to, but we also connect with each particular unit that we belong to. And these two will pull us in opposite directions if we see them as disconnected. But if we see that Krishna is the ultimate unit, but Krishna is also the sustainer of the injured unit, then even our actions in this world, our actions to take care of our family, our actions to take care to do our job, and our actions to take care of our health. Once Srila Prabhupada was invited to give a talk in Akhada. Akhada is like a traditional version of a gymnasium, a gym. And there were people who were doing weight, people were doing weight training. And Prabhupada said, yes. He said, you know that. In society, we also need Kshatriyas, we need protectors. And they have to be fit and well built. Yes. Hanuman was a great protector. And Prabhupada said, Hanuman also chanted the names of Ram. So Prabhupada said, so when you are doing exercise, chant Ram, Ram, Krishna, Krishna. And spiritualizing in that activity. So somebody could be just doing exercise so that they can look good and they can attract a partner. But somebody can see this body as a temple. And they want to keep this body fit for the service of the Lord. Fit and healthy for the service of the Lord. So the vision could be very different. So the important thing is that every bigger unit that we belong to, if we see its connection with Krishna and we see that we can serve Krishna both directly and through that particular unit, then the two aspects of our life, so-called spiritual and material, they can become integrated. They can become integrated. We take care of our family. By taking care of our family in a mood of service to Krishna, they will become attracted to Krishna. They will become closer to Krishna. When we do our job responsibly, then people will see that. And they want to know, okay, what makes you tick? To the extent we are sheltered in Krishna, So I'll conclude the second point. So this is where I am now. So if I am here, I talk about various units that we are belonging to, and then the ultimate unit that we are belonging to. So going back to the earlier example, the service that we do over here and the service that we do over here. So this is immersive bhakti. Directly serving Krishna, that is immersive bhakti. And this can be inclusive bhakti. So both of these can be service to Krishna. And when we are acting in this way, if we are say in a job and we are doing our job well, and people notice, and that's okay. Generally speaking, if we do not have that ultimate connection, if we think I only belong, my identity is this job, my identity is this family, based on this family or this job, then in life, always there will be ups and downs. In life, there will be ups and downs. This is just the nature of life. Kabhi khushi, kabhi gaum. There will be happiness, distress always in life. Now, for some people who are not very internally sheltered, then every up and down leads to their hyperventilation. So, something good happens, oh, life is so wonderful. Something bad happens, life is dreadful. If they have a nice interaction with a loved one, they say, I can't live without you. The next day they have some unpleasant reaction, I can't live with you. So always keep hyperventilating. Because we are too invested in that particular identity, that particular. If I understand, a job is a part of who I am, my family is a part of who I am. But none of them define me. Ultimately, I am a part of Krishna. So, if we are in material consciousness, this is what will sooner or later happen. We will tend to get tossed up and down by life's ups and downs. But if we are in spiritual consciousness, then we will tend to become gradually steadier. The same dualities that will come, they won't affect us so much. Because we'll be internally sheltered. And when people see that, when there's tension and there's pressure, how do you stay so cool? And that is where, if we talk about our bhakti, we talk about chanting Hare Krishna, we talk about Bhagavad Gita, then that won't seem like we are preaching to convert them. We are actually adding value to their life. We are giving them that is of value to them tangibly. And then our outreach can be much more effective. So we will be able to connect with Krishna also effectively if we do our roles responsibly. So in this way Krishna says, Swakarmana tamapyachya. Whether it is Swakarma is our job, it's our family, it's our social roles, it's our national duties, whatever it is. If we do that in a mood of service to Krishna, then they all can become a part of our devotional service. And in this way Krishna says, Siddhim Vindati Manava. You will attain. So I'll summarize what I discussed today. So I started by talking about this verse which says, work as worship. Not work is worship. So work is worship can be an ethical principle to give dignity to all work and workers. But not all work is intrinsically worship. Work can be done in a mood of worship. And to do work in a mood of worship, I talk about two things. It is work that becomes when there is the right conception and the right intention. So conception means that we see that the world has come from Krishna, the world is pervaded by Krishna. Intention is, I want to respectfully serve the Lord. Then we discuss about how our conception shapes our motivation. So the third part of our conception, it shapes our motivation. If a kid thinks, if a teacher thinks, I'm just teaching student this dumb subject, he completely demotivated. So we talk about motivations in Tamoguna, Rajoguna, Sattva, in 3 modes, and ultimately in transcendence. In this connection, I talk about Krishna. Krishna's message was not simply fight. It was actually act in harmony with me. Not circumstantial reasons for fighting, but universal principles for living. And that brought us to the last part, the intention that I talked about. The intention with which we act is in a mood of harmony. That we belong to various units, and each unit that we belong to, we take something from it, we contribute something to it. So we contribute to the immediate units, and we contribute to the ultimate unit, the ultimate whole. So ultimate, we see that ultimate sustains the immediate. That way our efforts are important, but they are not all important. They are secondary, not primary. If you understand this, we act in our jobs, we act in our family responsibly in a mood of service to Krishna. And so we perform immersive bhakti to directly connect with Krishna, and we perform inclusive bhakti to act in a mood of service to Krishna, contributing in this world. And in this way, wherever we are, we can progress toward Krishna and attain life's perfection. Thank you very much. Hare
Hare.
Are there any questions or comments? Yes, please.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you for the amazing class. It's good to see you again. I was thinking, is there a right way to divide our times between immersive and inclusive bhakti, those two? Because sometimes understanding that it's Krishna who's fueling us, it can give you a great psychological boost. You can become really good at your work, and you might get motivated to do even more work. But then, where does the service part fit in? Actually worshiping Krishna and engaging in his duties. So just a division of time between inclusive and immersive bhakti. Thank you.
Okay, so how do we divide the time between the two? If there were one answer for everyone, life would be so easy. We are all at different stages in our spiritual evolution. And at different stages, the balance would be different. Considering if we are going on a cycle, but the road is circuitous, it's not straight, then normally the balanced state of a cycle is not a cycle. If you have a cycle, the balanced state of a cycle is vertical. But the cycle has to turn right. Then you cannot just be vertical, you have to turn right. You have to tilt right rather. But then if you tilt right and stay tilted right, then you just go in a circle. You tilt right, and after that, again come back. Then you have to turn left, then turn left. Like that, balance in general is dynamic. So there are times in our lives, for example, we have a job deadline. That time maybe our work requires more time. So if we have a family event, maybe there's a wedding, there's a pregnancy, or something like that, and that family requires more time. There's a festival in the temple, if there is some other special occasion, then we spend more time there. So inclusive and immersive, how do we find a balance? It comes by keeping the overall purpose in mind. And I'm going to serve Krishna. And rather than seeing these two as competing, we see that they're all contributing in their journey. Now we could say it is easy to justify, as you rightly said that, no, I'm doing my profession for Krishna. And then I can say that, okay, I want to become a billionaire. And then I become a billionaire, then I will give millions of dollars to Krishna. But till then, what to speak of giving $1 to Krishna, I don't have time to chant even one name of Krishna. Well, that is not inclusive bhakti, That is inclusive illusion. So we all need to have certain things which are non-negotiable. This is the basic minimum I will do. So both in our professional life and professional life, in some ways that non-negotiable is set. Now say if we are given some job, if we don't do that job, we won't have a job. So so in every area of life you could say, in every life area, there is some foundation which is non-negotiable. And then there is something which you could say is desirable. So for example, non-negotiable is that say I chant a particular number of rounds, I come to the temple once a week, twice a week, come to satsang for some time. There's something non-negotiable, we need to have that. And then beyond that, okay, if I get more time, I would like to read every day. And not just read for 15 minutes, I would like to read for 1 hour. Whatever time I can read. We have to maximize that. So sometimes in one area, we have to go from non-negotiable to the desirable. But the desirable, you could say, is also negotiable. If I can't do it, it's okay. So we may have to decide at consulting senior devotees or consulting our trustworthy friends and guides, okay, what would be non-negotiable, what would be desirable. And then after we formulate the boundaries for ourselves, then we try to act accordingly. We try to mold our life accordingly. Okay? Thank you. Any other questions? Yes.
So the same question, we have non-negotiable and desirable. So sometimes we understand, we follow negotiable, and also we want to go further. And I also understand it goes sinusoidal, like up and down. But sometimes while going down, like let's say we have so much work, but like sometimes to go up it takes so much time because the work will be less, but still our mind will be thinking, okay, we'll be pacifying ourselves, okay, it's fine, let's we'll move tomorrow. Like how to come up quickly when we go down, how to come up quickly. Like let's say today I have some deployment, I'm so busy. But next day also, that I know that next day I don't have anything, but still that like focus doesn't come so quickly. It takes 2-3 days, and then we realize, okay, we wasted so much time, and then we go up. So how to like overcome that?
So the question is essentially that when life takes us up and takes us down, sometimes we stay down. It's like we don't rise up. So that's why we could say that in general we have motivating forces in our life. And there are two kinds of motivating forces. There are external and there are internal. So to some extent we need both. Now it's important to have internal motivation for doing something. For example, why am I practicing bhakti? Oh, because I'm in a community of devotees, these are my friends, they're all practicing. What will they say if I don't practice? Therefore I practice. That's external. Okay, it's good that we're doing something good because of that. But suppose we get a job somewhere else, you do some other place, then the social circle is different. You don't practice at all. Do internal. So if we don't have the internal, we always sustain us. So similarly with respect to our jobs, there's an external motivating factor, there are internal motivating factors. So if we rely only on the internal, that also will not work at times. Because sometimes the internal is too unpredictable. So we need a balance of the external and internal motivating factors. So gradually we could say that we'll find what is a healthy balance. Sometimes due to the externals, we may be pushed to do something that we just don't want to do at that time. That will be good for us. Sometimes the lack of externals may test us. Am I really serious about this? But in general, we shouldn't keep ourselves too long without some external engagements. Like pull us out of our lethargy. So Prabhupada would quote the English saying, an idle mind is a devil's workshop. I said, therefore, how do we not keep our mind idle? By having something tangible to do. So if we keep ourselves with tangible engagements, then they will pull us out. In general, when we talk about doing service, and that is good, but bigger, better than service is responsibility. So for example, somebody says, okay, today we have a lot of people, can you help in serving prasadam? As a service. If we do that, that's good. But somebody tells us, okay, can you make sure that prasadam serving is done properly? Oh, that's a much bigger task. That means I have to find volunteers and make sure that the volunteers know how to do. If somebody doesn't come, somebody is not doing properly, I need to fix it. That will consume our mind much more. That will give us a far greater sense of connection, commitment, absorption. That's why we need to take responsibility. Yes, when things get over, we need some relaxation time, the downtime, that's fair enough. Over a period of time, we can observe how much downtime I need to recoup again and to restart. But if we take responsibility that Krishna has given me some gifts and I am going to use those gifts, let me use it to the best of my abilities. That will enrich me and enrich the world through. Okay. Yes, please.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you for being here today.
Thank you for being here today, and thank you for sharing your divine wisdom. I have a question, it may be slightly deviated, but I find we have so many gods in the world. I come from a Krishna background, and when you have that cemented in your head, you're indoctrinated with it, and there's such a feeling of guilt if you go to some other, and I'm
Such
just
a
wondering.
feeling of guilt.
Pardon me?
Such a feeling of guilt.
When you step out of the boundaries of Christianity and its doctrines, you are going to hell, and that's the straight message. You cannot earn through works. You can only. So that's the message. So I'm having a great conflict with him because I love this. I love Srila Prabhupada. I feel a great sense of peace, but I also feel a tremendous loyalty to and I'm trying. I'm just. My question would be is that where could I seek truth and trying to, this conflict so I don't feel if I'm sitting here, if I'm listening to this or I'm chanting Hare Krishna, that I feel guilty that I'm violating the Krishna doctrine. Just in a matter of speaking, that's my question. Thank you.
Thank you for that question. You can sit comfortably, please. Okay. So, broadly speaking, you can say that there is spiritual consciousness and there is material consciousness. There are two levels. And we could say something like there's a mountain. Spiritual consciousness exists at the top. So love of God, dedication to the divine, that is at the top of the mountain. And at the bottom of the mountain, we have love for various worldly things to different degrees. So one way the Gita explains this is that mama vartamanu vartante manusya partha sarvesha. All people are on my path. So it's either for going up the mountain, there could be one path from here, there could be one path from here, there could be one path like this, there could be one path like there could be many paths to go up the mountain. Now just because many paths go up the mountain doesn't mean all paths go up the mountain. And there could be a path which just go like this. There could be a path which goes away from the mountains. So broadly speaking, the spiritual traditions in the world, they can be categorized in three ways, or rather, their prominent teachings, their mainstream expressions of their teachings could be categorized in three ways. Now, each of these has its own plus points, and I'll talk about them also. See, one is exclusivism. That this is the only way to. That this particular tradition has, in one sense, sole rights to take people to God. So that is one side of the pendulum. But sometimes some people go to the other extreme and say pluralism. Where as opposed to my path is right, all paths are right. Whatever you want to follow, you follow. Now, exclusivism can make people narrow-minded. And can strike people as also narrow-minded. If God is unlimited, why would He restrict access to Him to only one particular path? Now, pluralism might sound broad-minded. But if all paths are right, then some person can say, my path is atheism. Atheism means God doesn't exist. So if atheism is right, then all theistic paths become wrong. Isn't it? So all paths are right. This actually will make us not broad-minded, but empty-minded. It is like, it's good to be open-minded, but don't be so open-minded that your brains fall out. Isn't it? So in between these two is what we can call as inclusivism. So inclusivism is more like there is one purpose and many paths to that purpose. So like one purpose here is to go to the top of the mountain. There could be different paths that go up the mountain. Now earlier I said that you can classify different traditions in three different ways. The various traditions of the world in three different ways. But another way to look at this is that every tradition will have all three kinds of statements. The exclusive statements, if understood properly, they are meant to create focus. So we could say that it's one path. In the same path, there could be exclusive statements. So, for example, the purpose of so statements is to create focus. So, for example, if a patient has gone to a dozen doctors, and after that they come to a doctor, and this doctor is really expert, and the doctor says, okay, this is your disease, and this is the treatment for you. But the patient says, what, I went to that doctor, and the doctor said that, and the doctor said, I take that medicine, the doctor said, don't take that medicine, the doctor said that. Then this doctor will say, just forget everything that other doctors have told you. Just take this medicine and you'll be cured. So now, this statement, when you say just forget all other doctors, the purpose of that statement is not to say that all those other doctors are quacks, or all their medicines are bogus. Yes. But right now, if you're taking this treatment, if you want to get cured, this is the treatment I offer you. If you take it, you'll be cured. So seen in proper context, the exclusive statements create focus. But if they are taken out of context, so in context, the exclusive statements lead to focus. Out of context, they lead to fanaticism, narrow-mindedness. Similarly, every tradition will also have some pluralist statements. And the pluralist statements, if seen rightly, they lead to tolerance. Okay, you are following your way, let the others follow their way. To some extent, secularism is basically, you could say, humility in politics. Secularism means that the state does not have the right to legislate faith. The state does not determine what you will worship or whom you will worship. In the Mahabharata, the war was fought for dharma, not for bhakti. If you consider that when the war was fought, among the Pandava side, there was Krishna. Sorry, there were the Pandavas themselves. They would worship Krishna, but they also had Drupada on their side, and Drupada's family deity was Shiva. And on the Kaurava side, there was Bhishma, who was worshipping Krishna. There was Bhurishrava, who was also worshipping Krishna. So, this was not a war to impose one's faith on others. It was a war to maintain order in society. So, the point I am making is that pluralism is itself not a bad thing as long as it's a personal practice. If somebody wants to be an atheist, they have a right to be an atheist. No, you cannot legislate faith. Okay? So, in various traditions, there are statements like this also. Like people go their way. And there are inclusive statements also. So, inclusive statements, if they are understood properly. So, if they are understood properly, these lead to tolerance, plural statements. If they are not understood properly, they can lead to impotence. That is, all paths are right. So even if I don't do anything also, that's also right. Because that's also my path. Isn't it? So each of these can be taken positively and negatively. So inclusive statements, they can create both at one level faithfulness to one's own tradition as well as respectfulness for other traditions. So, I have to go up the mountain, I have chosen this path. I have to stick to this path. If I have a trekking coach, trekking guide, they will tell me, okay, wear these kind of shoes, now have these kind of clothes, take this trekking equipment, we take that and go up. But at the same time, somebody else may be following something else. And if they are also going up the mountain, we respect that. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur, a great saint in our tradition, says that if I go to a place where God is being worshipped in a way different from what I am familiar, is I cannot worship the Lord in that way because I don't know the Lord in that way. But at the same time, just seeing how my Lord has so compassionately manifested himself in this way to attract these people, my attraction to the Lord is increasing in the form that I am. So, this we can have both respectfulness and faithfulness. So now coming to a specific question, now what you can see it as that it is the same one divine who's calling you forward, who's calling you upward, come from the bottom of the mountain to the top of the mountain. And is it that you are being unfaithful to Jesus? Not at all. It is by Jesus' blessings that you have that spiritual spark, you have that spiritual inquiry, that spiritual thirst is there. And now you can see that you are moving forward by that same blessing. So if you are attracted toward Krishna, then see that as something which has happened by the blessing of Jesus, by the grace of Jesus. How the divine heart can call the human heart is one of the biggest mysteries of creation. We cannot legislate that. So Srila Prabhupada, the founder Acharya of ISKCON, when he was asked about Jesus, he said that, now what do you think about Jesus? Prabhupada said Jesus is our Guru. He had so much love for God that he was ready to lay down his life for the sake of God. Anybody who has that much devotion is our Guru. So Srila Prabhupada was extremely respectful. And broadly speaking, if somebody was, in one sense, a nominal Christian, they were born in a Christian family. One of my friends, he's from a Jew background, And when he started exploring Krishna Bhakti, he wanted to tell his family. So his uncle was, are you trying to convert us? He said, I didn't know that you were religious. He said, I'm a Jew. I'm an atheist. But I'm an atheist Jew. Now, the first commandment of Judaism is to love God with all thy heart, all thy soul, and all thy might. And now he's an atheist. Then what has become? That Jew is not so much a religious orientation as basically a racial designation. So, if somebody is nominal, that means somebody is going back to the mountain metaphor. If somebody is just going round and round on this mountain bottom somewhere, then okay, we have this path, and this path there are some special attractions. So we encourage you to follow this path. But if somebody is already half the way up, and then you go and pull them down from there, and then get them to your side and then pull them up, push them. But some people sometimes, unfortunately, instead of climbing up the mountain by their path, their full-time job is to go round and round the mountain and pull down other people from there. So, if at all there is any conversion, the conversion is actually from materialism to spirituality. If the conversion is only leading to the person coming from one side of the bottom of the mountain to the other side of the bottom of the mountain, and one may just change their religion, but if there is no transformation of the heart, if there is no redirection of the heart from the world to the source of the world, then that conversion is not of much use. And rather than thinking of conversion, it's more of an elevation. So from whichever place, whichever path the divine calls, then just respond to that. And if you respond to that call, you'll be guided how to move. Does that answer your question?
Thank you so much. You said many things that will keep me thinking for a little while, but thank you.
Thank you for that wonderful question. Great.
One more question. Hand up online. Mataji Puja. You can unmute yourself and ask your question.
Yes. Hare Krishna Prabhu, kindly accept my humble
Okay, so you had asked me a question yesterday. Should I repeat
obeisances.
that?
I hope I'm audible.
Okay, yeah, I can hear you. Did you hear me? So I said you had asked me the
Yes,
question.
yes.
You want me to repeat that question?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
yesterday
Yes,
we were
Prabhu.
talking about, now suppose, say, we are having some relational issue, and then we determine whether it is caused by something wrong that I am doing or something wrong the other person is doing. And then we try to fix it. So when do we try to fix ourselves? When do we try to fix the other person? And to what extent do we go in trying to fix the other person? Was that the question broadly?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay.
Great memory.
Okay, thank you.
And I also wanted to add something more.
Yeah.
Like you said yesterday about the faith and bhakti, so we understand that yes, reversals come in our lives, and it is because our karmas are hitting us back. We have this knowledge, but then when we are in that actual situation, we are not accepting that reality, and our faith in Krishna consciousness gets affected.
Okay.
So how do we, what would be the best course of action in that case so that our faith is protected?
I'm taking this opportunity to ask
yes.
questions. Because this is a completely different question from
Yes.
So you want to ask this question primarily?
Yes, Prabhu. I want to understand from you a very practical insight in situations
Okay.
like these.
Okay, so when some problem comes in our life, we know it's our karma hitting us, but it's difficult for us to accept, and then we lose our faith in Krishna. Well, first of all, any event that happens, it has multiple causes. Say, for example, I'm sitting here right now here. Now, if I start spilling coke, if I'm feeling cold, it could be because maybe there's air conditioning right behind me. It could be because I'm not wearing warm clothes. It could be because I'm not accustomed to the weather. It could be that the temperature has dropped. It could be because there's global warming or global cooling. Global warming that is causing cooling, but a climate change as a value neutral term that we use nowadays. So, whatever it is. So now, the same event can be placed in multiple causal frameworks. So if I am feeling cold and I start complaining about capitalism which has led to environmental degradation and that has caused climate change, then that's not the most constructive way to work. If I am feeling cold, get some warm clothes. So in general, whenever something goes wrong, we look first for the immediate cause for what has gone wrong. If say on a cold night, somebody eats a dozen ice creams and the next morning they wake up and ice cream! They scream in pain, their throat is so terrible. Now, is there terrible throat because of their past karma? What do you think? Yeah, it's past karma, but past night's karma. Not past life's karma, isn't it? So, in general, we try to place every event in the most constructive context. The context where we can do something about it. So, if I've fallen sick, or if say I lost my job, or if my relationship is going down, because it's some important relationship, and if I say, oh, it's all because of past karma, well, maybe there's something in my present karma also that I need to fix. So, if we escalate every single thing to the past karma, then we are abdicating responsibility for our present. So, when events happen, if I'm here and it seems like some big adversity falls on me. So now when that adversity comes, why is it coming? It is often a result of present karma plus past karma. And in some indeterminate combination. That means when a particular problem comes in my life, it could be that sometimes we just speak one gentle word of feedback to someone and that person becomes a lifelong enemy. So, I didn't do anything, why are you so angry with me? Well, if we had really not done anything much and that person is behaving like that, and then we understand that this is not just I didn't do anything in the present, or I did something very small in the present, but it's a huge reaction. So in that case, it's like 1% present karma, 99% past karma. Sometimes it could be the other way. It's 99% present karma and 1% past karma. If I have been behaving in an irritating, unreasonable way with someone and that person has been tolerating me, and suddenly one day they explode. So why do you like this? Well, it's because of what you did. So it could be quite different. So in general, it could be a different combination of present and past. So whenever some problem comes, first try to see at the immediate level if there is any cause and try to address that. That brings us to the first part of the question also. When some relationship issue is going on, some relational issue is going on, somebody is hurting us, somebody seems to be on an agenda to destroy us. Then we try to say, did I do anything to antagonize that person? Can I do something to fix that? If I fix that, maybe the issue becomes fixed. So, but if despite our best efforts, sometimes we just can't find any way to deal with that. Nothing seems to be fixing that issue. So at that time, what we see is that there is some past karma. It's only in that situation that it's visited prominently the past karma. So, in general, our focus should not be on what is the karma because of which this is happening. Our focus should be is what is my dharma in this situation. What is the right or responsible thing for me to do? Our focus is not on what is the karma because of which this is happening. So now it's helpful if you can understand this, but sometimes it's not possible. Our first question will be this. It's understandable. One of my friends is a firefighter. We're talking about focus about adversity. So when they are called to extinguish a fire, the first question they ask is, okay, what caused the fire? Was it gas? Was it some explosive? Was it some matchstick? Was it arson? They try to know the cause. That will help better fight the fire. But sometimes there is no information available. What caused the fire? There is no information available. Then sometimes you can make sense of the problem. Make sense of what caused the fire. But sometimes you can only make sense in the problem. That means, okay, this fire is here. There are a lot of civilians staying in that area. We don't want the fire to go over there. So let's fight the fire over there first. So sometimes if we can do this, this is good. But if we can't do this, what is my dharma in this situation? Dharma means, so rather than we don't have to bring Krishna as the cause of every situation. See, Krishna is the cause of all causes. He is not the cause of all effects. What is the difference? The cause of all causes means that when there are clouds in the sky, then there are rains. When there are rains, then there is vegetation that grows. Now, without the rain, there will be no vegetation. So, in that sense, Krishna is the rain is the ultimate cause of all vegetation. But the rain is not a specific cause of which vegetation grows where. Some places crops grow, some places weeds grow. That is not determined by the rains. So similarly, in general, when things happen in our life, it is not that Krishna is causing those things. It is our own karma, past and present, coming in some indeterminate combination leading to those situations. Then you may say, what is Krishna's role? Well, Krishna's role is in empowering us to face the situation. Krishna's role is in giving us the strength, the wisdom to act properly in that situation. Because Krishna's role can also be in what particular combination that situation comes in our life, by which we can grow. So Krishna's purpose. So when we are losing faith in Krishna, it's like we are bringing Krishna into the domain where it is material nature that is responsible. Once the devotees had organized a giant Rath Yatra, a giant Ratha cart in London, I think in 1969-70. But they made the biggest Rath cart, but when they made the height, the upper part huge, they did not proportionately increase the size of the wheels in the lower bit. And after a little bit while, the Rath cart collapsed. It could have been a PR nightmare, but at that time we were so new that even the media had come there, the media didn't know what was happening. So the devotees didn't know what to do, and the media thought that Rath cart collapsing was a part of the festival. So anyway, after that the devotees were very forlorn and very dejected, and they wrote to Prabhupada, Prabhupada, did the Rath cart fall because Krishna was displeased with us? Was it because of our poor devotion? And Prabhupada said, the Rath collapsed not because of your poor devotion, but because of your poor engineering. So in general, if we look at the scriptures also, when something goes wrong, the devotees don't just simply blame Krishna for it. When Yudhishthira gambled and lost everything, he didn't blame Krishna. Why did you let this happen to me? Yudhishthira prepared. But one of the ways he prepared, the Pandavas all in the forest, they were waiting, but they were all working. They were honing their fighting skills. Arjuna was getting weapons. Yudhishthira even learned gambling in the forest. He said, gambling got you into so much trouble, why are you learning gambling again? But the point is, he never gambled because he wanted to gamble. He gambled because he was instructed by his elders to gamble. Dhritarashtra sent Vidura to ask him to gamble. So he said, I want to be ready. If I am constrained to gamble again, I will not be caught napping. Shakuni will find that he doesn't have an amateur on the other side. He also is expert on the other side. So they will prepare it. So they didn't focus on so much on why did this thing happen to me. They focus on, now that this happened to me, what can I do about it? So, if we focus on this, okay, what is the karma because of this happening? Why is this coming in my life? Why is Krishna letting this happen in my life? Then we can easily lose our faith in Krishna. But if we focus on the other side, what can I do in this situation? Then we will find that Krishna will empower us with levels and layers of strength that we didn't even know we had. And those will enable us to face difficult situations. Machittaha sarvadurgani matprasadat tavishyasi. Krishna says, if you become conscious of me, you will pass over all obstacles by my grace. So, to conclude this with one point, this is the present and this is the future. So, we are in the present and this is the human plan. From a particular place in the present, we want to go to a particular place in the future. But Krishna's plan is different. Krishna sees the future and then he organizes the present accordingly. So the divine plan is like this. That means Krishna has a plan to take us to a better place. And accordingly the present situation is reached. So consider, to understand this one example concretely, suppose this is the shell of an egg. This is the shell of a bird. Now you will have to imagine that this is a bird, whatever it is. So there is a baby bird inside the shell. Now when the baby bird is trying to force its way out of the shell, it pushes and pushes. The shell is extremely hard and finally makes a crack and one of its legs comes out and the shell snaps back and pierces the leg and blood comes out. Now the baby bird may think, why is this shell so hard and so sharp? From the baby bird's perspective, its purpose is from the present to the future. I am inside the shell, I want to get out of the shell. And sometimes a person might say, oh, if that person is seeing from outside, this baby bird is struggling so much. They might just break the shell. The bird will come out. But the bird will not be strong enough. It may have come out of the shell, but it will not be strong enough to fly. Certainly not strong enough to fly fast enough. Any predator will just catch it and eat it. So the bird's plan is to just come out of the shell. But nature's plan, ultimately God's plan, is not just to get the bird out of the shell, but get the bird to learn to fly in the sky. And for that purpose, the shell is perfect. Although the shell can appear very tough and sharp for the bird. So God has a plan for the future. So sometimes when we are facing a problem, we are trying to deal with the problem and get rid of the problem. And it doesn't seem to be going away. So for us, the problem that we are facing is at the shell. And we are trying to break through the shell and get rid of the problem. But Krishna doesn't want us just to become free from the problem. Krishna wants us to grow into a bigger person, a better person, a wiser person. Krishna wants us to be like the bird that flies in the sky, We fly on the wings of our devotion towards Krishna. So sometimes the problem may be there and it may seem unreasonable. Why has this happened? But instead of simply having this feeling, why has Krishna sent this problem in my life? Well, first of all, Krishna has not sent the problem. It's come by our own karma. But even when it's our own karma, Krishna is there with us. Krishna has a purpose and Krishna will give us the strength to face the problem. So we look at the present and plan the future. Krishna looks at the future and plans the present. If we keep this in mind, then it will be easier to have faith. We can't know what the future holds. The baby bird doesn't know when the shell will break. Similarly, we can't know what the future holds. But we can know the one who holds the future. And if we hold on to him, then surely our future will be bright. Thank you very much. Shri Krishna Bhagavan. Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki Jai. Gaur Premanand.